Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the Panzer 35T. We'll start off with a brief overview, then how to use it, then some pros and cons of the vehicle. Overview. The Panzer 35T has a key advantage over most low battle-rated tanks. It has 25mm front armor on the hull and turret, which makes it immune to 12.7mm machine guns that are commonplace at its tier. However, the sides can be penetrated with such weapons. It has 4 crew with decent spacing between them, but a far cry from the Panzer III-4, so while it can save you sometimes, don't rely on it. With a top speed of 33 km per hour and a power-to-weight ratio of 11.43 horsepower to ton in realistic and simulator battles, the Panzer 35T has reasonably good mobility for a reserve tank. The Panzer 35T is armed with the 37mm KWK-34T, which has an APC shell with 55mm pen and a Tier 1 unlockable APC shell with 53mm pen, which is essentially worse in every aspect. It also possesses an 85mm APCR shell for more heavily armoured targets, such as B1 BIs. The small caliber of the MG37T machine gun makes it largely ineffective against all armoured vehicles, except for the ones with an open compartment. It still can be used to ping targets, or range finding, or to mow down minor obstacles blocking your line of sight. Usage in battles. The tank is average in most aspects, aside from frontal immunity to 50 cals, since your common enemies are faster than you. It is advisable to use this tank as a mid-range support vehicle. At the start of the match, avoid getting surrounded by enemies by not rushing to the front line straight away, because its hull and turret traverse are all quite bad, making it vulnerable to surprise flanks. Find hilly terrain and utilize your 10 degrees gun depression to poke out, get a shot, then get back into cover before the enemies notice you. At the middle stages of the match, only go to the front line when you really need to, because again, the traverse speed is low and the maneuverability isn't great. However, the player can now use the tank's small profile to ambush enemies near a friendly point. With their decent penetration up close and the 22-gram TNT, the APC rounds can quickly finish off anyone trying to decap the point. Note that while using the default shell, the Panzer 35T has no tracer component, and the player can use this to their advantage. If the player misses the shot, the enemy will not see the trajectory of the shell, thus will take longer to locate the shooter. Pros and cons. Pros. Gun depression of -10 degrees is great for combating across any terrain. Stock and unlockable ammo with explosive filler have decent penetration and good post-penetration damage. Mobility and acceleration are decent for the tier frontally immune to 12.7mm machine guns. Reverse speed of -34 km per hour is excellent at pulling the tank out of danger as a shoulder stabilizer, useful for close quarters combat and shoot and scoot cons. Many other tanks are faster than it, the gun is inadequate against higher tier tanks. Poor survivability and armor against anything stronger than machine guns. Low agility, sluggish hull. Traverse and slow turret rotation. This has been an overview of the Panzer 35T. Please like and sub, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the Panzer IIIe. We'll start off with a brief overview, then how to use it, then some pros and cons of the vehicle. Overview. The Panzer IIIe is an excellent tank to use angling in. With angling, the hull has a chance to bounce some enemy fire. The turret face protection is rather thin, but but in some areas the turret armor overlaps, which may help to stop some shells. However, the thin roof armor means that enemy planes may penetrate the top of the tank if they are using .50 caliber guns or cannons. The Panzer IIIe is equipped with the 37mm KWK-36, which is a fairly underwhelming weapon. It can penetrate most lower ranked vehicles at close range, but at further ranges the gun really does start to struggle. It's also fairly inaccurate, which makes aiming for certain weak spots quite difficult. It comes with 2 available rounds, APHE Max, 47mm penetration, low penetration but higher damage potential. A PCR Max, 86mm penetration, high penetration but lower damage potential. It's best to consider taking a mix of both types of ammunition. The APHE has the potential to knock out some enemy tanks, but will be completely ineffective against the more heavily armored vehicle you'll likely meet when up-tiered. For these tanks, it's best to use APCR and aim for flat surfaces. The APCR does very little damage internally, so try to aim for crew members if possible. The Panzer IIIe is equipped with 2 coaxial 7.9 2mm MG 34 machine guns. As there are 2 of them, these machine guns are quite potent against enemy anti-air trucks and even against the slower biplane aircraft commonly encountered in lower ranked battles, although their viability against aircraft is questionable due to the slow turret traverse. These guns have no functional viability against armored vehicles, however, and only serve as a last-ditch effort to kick up dust. The Panzer IIIe has a varied role on the battlefield. It has substantially armor, although not enough to consistently deflect enemy shells, and impressive mobility. This mobility allows a skilled player to play in a more aggressive fashion. The Panzer IIIe excels in mid-range support due to its armor being more valuable at longer ranges, and its mobility especially. The reverse speed which helps it get out of bad situations and reposition much easier. Being at longer ranges helps minimize the downsides of the poor turret traverse and lack of a stabilizer, which can be a hindrance in brawls and close-range fighting. Additionally, the dual machine guns mounted on the turret can act as a pseudo-SPAA and shoot down low BR planes that get a little too close to the ground. When taking fire, if retreat isn't an option, the tank should be angled at a 45-degree angle, as its armor is the same on the front and the sides. Additionally, this tank has smoke grenades, which can provide cover for long enough to repair damage or move out of the line of fire. It is recommended to take several rounds of APCR, as the APHE shell loses penetration at longer ranges. Alternatively, provided the driver has enough skill and map knowledge, this tank can be an extremely rewarding ambush predator, relying on well above average mobility to slip through the cracks in the enemy lines and ambush players traveling to the front lines. Because the gun will one-shot most vehicles in its BR at close ranges, the Panzer IIIe will often be able to take out enemies who are not expecting it, and then move to a new location before the next wave of tanks respawn. This playstyle works best on maps with hills and ridges to hide between, as opposed to the more exposed and flat city maps where hiding can be more difficult. Be mindful that when lying in wait, the Panzer IIIe does still make some engine noise, so if there is someone coming around a corner shortly, turning off the engine will increase the chance of an ambush. However, if the ambush goes poorly, the Panzer IIIe often does not have enough armor to survive. Smoke grenades may help. However, the primary goal at all times should be remaining out of the line of fire and not attracting the attention of multiple enemies at once. enemies that are unable to be easily destroyed in one hit, such as the LVT tanks. Low ammo counts can be UD'd in this tank, which reduces the chance of a death due to ammo explosions. Pros and cons. Pros, very fast reload. Access to APCR, very good mobility. Immune to heavy machine gun fire. Tougher than other reserve tanks if angled. Cons, very slow turret traverse, lackluster firepower, unimpressive armor protection if not angled. This has been an overview of the Panzer IIIe Lease-like and sub, and I'll see you in the next video.